Warning, this podcast contains heavy spoilers for not just one movie, but entire franchises. We highly recommend going and watching these movies before listening to us as a companion piece that stitches all the timelines into one creepy, crime-ridden story. There will be no more spoiler warnings. We do not break character. After this, there is no turning back. You've been warned. Hit the music.
You are talking about the nonsensical ravings of a lunatic mind.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive! It's
alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Hello and welcome to It's Alive podcast. This is a true crime, paranormal, interstellar podcast covering unbelievable stories that sound like they were ripped straight from the pages of a Hollywood script. I am your host, Dr. H.R. Smokenstein, THC, and with me as always is my very own Scream Queen, the perfect combination of beauty and brains, the bride of Smokenstein, the India horror, the experts of guts and gore, the gorgeous, the sexy, Aimee Rose.
You said all that a lot slower this time.
That's because you told me I had to go a lot slower. You said
about
people
10 weeks ago.
And I've been gradually slowing it down, so it didn't seem like I suddenly did it. Now everyone knows. Thanks for spoiling it. Ruined. Gone.
Oh, I'm sorry. We can
I'm
do
gonna
it
go back
again
to
if you
super speed.
want.
Well, see, originally I wanted to do it like a wrestling announcer, like the Road Dogg Jesse James or something like that, you know. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, D-Generation X proudly brings to you the 5-time tag team champions of the world. That kind of shit.
It'd be better if you actually announced me like that.
I always wonder, do people understand some of the references in there as well? Because I just one in particular. When I call you the indie of horror, and I don't think people will get that.
Why?
But you took a nice little cosplay picture that we'll put up in a couple of weeks when we're promoting the free use of Playing with Bones, and they can see what I meant by the indie horror. It's your history. It's your historic side. The Indiana Jones of horror is what I would get at in there. But I always wondered if people get that reference. It's not like they can get any other reference. I mean, they don't know what H.R. Smokenstein means or why I'm the outlaw.
See, I think if they heard the indie of horror, would they think that it was spelled I-N-D-I-E, as in like a knowledgeable person about horror, or would they know that it's spelled I-N-D-Y?
They don't read my scripts. They don't know.
That's true.
But again, I don't think I love doing that intro, but I don't think it makes sense to most people because, again, nobody knows why I'm the outlaw Dr. H.R. Smokenstein. They get this Dr. Smokenstein part. I think you need to
explain your
but no one knows who
stage
HR or outlaw. I'm the outlaw HR.
That's true. You want to tell him?
Oh, it's pretty simple. If you can go fucking YouTube, I was a wrestler named the Outlaw Harley Ray. Then I got my doctorate and my THC was added on there, and decided to start using the family name of Smokenstein, and just left my wrestling name in there while I was at it.
Smokenstein.
Huh?
Am I taking Smokenstein when we get married?
Oh, awesome! Aimee Rose Smokenstein.
A.R. Smokenstein.
Oh yeah, HR and A.R. Smokenstein. The Smokensteins.
What's the other version of THC? Oh.
What do you mean the other version?
No,
CBD?
Yeah, CBD.
So what, you're the fucking wuss version of me?
CBD. Yeah, I'm the pussy version.
It'll heal some of your pains, but it won't get you high. All right, so what are we doing today?
We are... we're going to start the 2-part story of notorious serial killer Pearl Douglas, and to a lesser extent, her accomplice husband Howard Douglas. Now, what makes this series slightly different to stories we've done before is that when the 2 parts are over, we will still be left with a number of questions, because although over 6-decade crime spree ended in 1979, the true events of the night Pearl and Howard's reign of terror ended would not come to light until the downfall of the televangelist cult called the Eternal Purity Fellowship, ran by a man named Ernest Miller. So while the story of Pearl Douglas is a two-parter, we will follow it up directly with the story of Ernest Miller, his cult, and his famous daughter, MaXXXine Minx Miller.
I'm going to stop you right there because I realise now, looking at the script, that they were my lines.
They were. That's why
My
I was
mistake.
confused. I think they did a good job, though, for
You
something
did,
that
you
I
did
didn't have
perfect.
prepared.
Well, I'll pick back up where I'm supposed to be talking about it
You
here.
swapped the colours this week back over.
No, I didn't.
Oh,
I'm always right.
I thought you swapped in your own head, and that's why you're telling me to go.
No.
Okay.
It's just you usually open the show after
do
my intro,
usually open
and
the
I knew
show,
that I had this
yeah.
bit in there, but I forgot. And you know what? My brain has been addled by this whole story all week because we've been preparing so that we can have a little bit of a Christmas break.
Yeah.
We've been preparing these episodes. So, like, I have pretty much everything ready to go. Like, a lot of our stuff is scheduled so that everybody can keep listening to us over the holiday season. But I left the main show to last because the scripts are always bigger, the scripts are always harder. And then I started and I cracked on with Pearl, and Pearl, I'm really happy with this. It's a fun story. It's a good story. The second part, the first story, it's good too. It's awesome. It's a good story. That's not what I'm getting at. I'm downplaying my own story here. But things start to get more complicated after this one.
Yeah, they do.
And then when we get to Ernest Miller, things get so complicated, where we're talking about Ernest Miller, his cult, what they get up to. And in the meantime, you got how it all attaches to Pearl Douglas. In the meantime, you have Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, running around killing people. And I got to include him in the fucking story. And it got so overwhelming that I actually skipped writing the next 2 scripts and went on to write the last 3 scripts of the year.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I have
forgot you said you were
everything.
doing that.
Everything that we need to do is either written or recorded by the next 2 weeks worth of this story, because I was like, when I start this, it's a long slog. I gotta prepare for it. I gotta be ready for it. I gotta be in the right mind for it. When you're talking about cults, it just gets, do you know?
Heavy? Or
Complicated.
Complicated.
Confusing will be another good word for it. Confusing. Ernest Miller is a very confusing man, but we'll see how he ties into all this already.
Nice.
Now, obviously, we all know, well, I know, the famous adult entertainer turned Hollywood scream queen, MaXXXine Minx. I watch her in horror movies.
I'm sure you do.
Great horror movie actress. Never seen any of her other movies.
You say that a lot about a lot of...
We also know that after making a name for herself in horror throughout the slasher boom of the late 80s, her star dimmed a little. Like, that has happened to a lot of 80s slasher stars. You kind of get stuck in, you kind of get typecast to your genre, and it's hard.
Yourself in,
like, a lot of big actors and actresses would have avoided horror roles in the 80s. Because it typecast them.
It's like the way in the 90s and 90s, a lot of the bigger male stars would avoid pretty boy roles.
You don't want to be typecast and stuck in the role. And horror, especially back in like the 80s, early 90s, it was seen as very lowbrow entertainment. A lot of wrestlers had similar problems. Guys who, like, there'd be entertainers who weren't making it in the business, and someone would say to them, well, you got the body for professional wrestling, why don't you go do that? It's like, because then I'll be fucking typecast as a professional wrestler. And up until The Rock, professional wrestlers didn't do very well in cinema. I mean, Roddy Piper did okay.
He did okay. Hogan just was Hogan in every movie.
Yeah. Fuck Hulk Hogan. But again, until The Rock turned up, and now John Cena's a great actor. Batista
John Cena
is
fantastic. Batista's my favorite.
fucking best.
Absolute favorite.
But it was similar for horror stars. But instead of drifting quietly to lower budget flicks and horror-con meet and greets, Miss Minx decided to cash in on her colourful, gore-filled real-life story, writing books and selling the rights for television and film. Not to be shortchanged, and with no next of kin to fight her on the case, Miss Minx also became the official biographer for the Douglas story, in particular Pearl, and she holds the rights to the story to this day, again, only selling them out for movies and TVs, cashing in on her trauma. So, we kick off today with a disclaimer. Little is known officially about the early life of Pearl Douglas, with no family to speak of and living a very private life on a secluded farm. So all information today is sourced from the only official biographer, MaXXXine Minx. And I'm not saying she's not a reliable source for this story. From the research we've done, it would seem as if Miss Minx left no stone unturned when it came to telling the story of her once nemesis, her backstory. That being said, Miss Minx has been accused of having a bit of a flair for the dramatics, and other criminal biographers, true crime biographers, have accused her of embellishing some of the details, as it seems almost impossible that she would know some of what she claims to know.
Yeah.
Now, there might be some shit we say today, and you're like, well, how could people possibly know that if they were alone? MaXXXine Minx told us. But we can only work with the information available to us, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So with that, let's get today's story started and look at the early life of Pearl Douglas and what led her to next week's story and what was dubbed the Texas Porn Star Massacre.
Okay. Well, Pearl Douglas, she didn't come from money. In fact, she barely even came from warmth. Matt and Ruth, her parents, they were the sort of stern, stone-faced German folk who believed emotions were something you willed yourself not to have. Every penny was pinched and every chore was life or death. And every dream that deviated from marry a good man and run the farm when we're old was treated like a personal insult.
But they were the type who thought joy was some sort of American conspiracy. A laugh? Absolutely not. A hug? Who do you think we are? The Italians? Well, one thing I have learned from our last few cases, especially all the Ed Gein stuff we learned, German parents, stop being stern with your fucking kids. It only creates violence.
German parents are American German parents.
What was Hitler's parents like?
They were Austrian.
Were they cool or were they angry?
Oh, I don't know.
Most of his family were inbred though, weren't they?
I think as far as I know. As far as I know.
Stop inbreeding.
Austrians? I'm not saying all Austrians.
I don't want to insult
inbreeding.
anybody here.
No.
Just globally, stop inbreeding.
Okay.
Because funny enough, one of the stories I was working on this week that we're going to do over Christmas also involves inbreeding, but they're not a German family, so.
Definitely not like second, third generation German.
To the best of my knowledge, no.
Okay. Well,
I don't know. What sort of a surname is Letz?
Sounds German. Let's Letz. Let me have a look.
No. Shush. That's for weeks. We got a couple more weeks before that. We got to finish this series first. So we got three more weeks before we get to that.
Yeah.
I'll know by then.
Okay. Well, Pearl was born wrong for the world that she was born into, basically. She wasn't made of that flinty, practical material that her parents worshipped. She was a dreamer. A girl who lived in storybooks, radio dramas, and those early pictures flickering in town. Anything that let her imagine being somewhere, anywhere other than that gloomy little farm.
It's almost like she was born into the wrong generation.
Yeah.
When you were a kid.
The wrong generation or just wrong spot in America?
I think even wrong generation. I mean, look at now.
Oh yeah,
you've got access to things, and you don't have to wait to be discovered anymore. You can go out there and put your own work in.
She would have found her goal of being famous easier to achieve.
That's it. I mean, it's not like we have to go begging some radio station to play this shit. We can just put it out there into the world and be like, we're going to make you listen.
You want to be a singer for millions? You don't got to audition anymore. You just stick yourself on the internet and everybody's crazy.
There's ways of doing it. So she would have loved today.
Yeah. Exactly.
If she was still around. But when you were a kid, because when we were kids, we still called the cinema the pictures. Did you call the cinema the pictures?
We called it the pictures, we called it the cinema, and we called it the flicks.
Oh yeah. My dad used to call all movies the flicks. It's like, we go watch it. We watch some flicks.
Go to the flicks, yeah.
We're going to watch some flicks, you know.
Yeah.
But when we were going to the cinema, we were going to the pictures. It was never the cinema. It was, all right, I'll take you to the pictures today. Like, yes!
I feel like when I was younger, the word pictures was used for cinema when somebody was going on a date. Do you know that kind of way? If I was going with my friends to the cinema, he'd take me to the pictures. Yeah. It sounds kind of a softer word or something, I suppose.
So when it comes to these movies, she wasn't just watching movies. She was absorbing them, performing them. Those barn animals. So she had like barn animals in the fact. Oh, you've already said that. Did she? Did we say that?
No.
I forgot to mention that. So she used to watch these movies. then go home to the farm, go into the barn, and she'd like start performing
For the animals.
She performed the whole show for the animals. They will be her, I think the barn animals saw more dramatic reenactments in the community theatre during tax season. Cows got monologues, chickens got love scenes. Weird. And the goat got the emotional arcs.
I feel like the goat would get the emotional arc because then they'd understand them. And while Matt and Ruth were trying to shape her into a dutiful farm wife, Pearl was busy falling in love with the glamorous Hollywood girls she saw in magazines. She wanted to be adored. She wanted lights and applause and a life where she wasn't trapped mending fences and scraping mud off boots. But the timing couldn't have been worse. A global pandemic sweeping the world, the Great War pulled young men away, and all of that only made her homespun cage feel tighter.
And Pearl was not the type of girl who swallowed frustration quietly.
No.
Not then, not ever. If she wasn't sneaking into town for a forbidden movie matinee, she was losing entire afternoons daydreaming instead of working. Her parents cracked down harder, and Pearl, she just pushed back twice as viciously.
And that's where we start seeing that darker streak in her.
Yeah.
I mean, it began small, creeping impulses, ugly flashes of anger she didn't know what to do with. But Pearl didn't have the language for her rage. She didn't have an outlet. So she made one.
On the poor old animals. Who's going to watch her shows if she's taking shit out on them? I wouldn't watch a show if the actor beat the shit out of me beforehand. And she goes after the small ones first, obviously. The ones who wouldn't be missed. Yeah. See, that's serial killer fucking 101 right there.
The small animals.
The ones that wouldn't be missed is what I was thinking. It's the same as what we always say about sex workers. They serial killers go for
starting off with
small
animals.
They always go for animals because they're easy to control and no one will miss them. But it's just that kind of, that when I read that, the ones that wouldn't be missed,
it
instantly
with you.
Sex workers came into my head, and it's like they're the ones they go after because
homeless,
exactly
Native American women.
So no one would miss them except maybe Pearl, and only because they make convenient props. So she'd snap, lash out, tear a creature apart with a kind of methodical brutality that feels kind of practiced, almost ritualistic.
And then there was the alligator.
And there was the fucking alligator. Yes, the emotional support dinosaur that she kept in the backyard.
Yes. So at the back of the Douglas property was a lake. And in that lake lived an alligator Pearl named Theda, after Theda Bara, one of the first major Hollywood screen vamps. I love the name.
I've never heard of this.
You've never heard of Theda Bara?
No.
Well, Theda Bara, she was an American silent film and stage actress, and she was one of the more popular actresses of the silent era, and she's lovely looking. And she was actually one of cinema's earliest, maybe even the earliest sex symbol. Her femme fatale roles there under the nickname The Vamp, and later fueling the rising popularity in vamp roles. I took
vamp to be vampire. I wasn't thinking of vamp as in...
No, did you ever hear the song? The lady is a vamp.
Yeah, I get it.
But, so like... Yeah, she fueled the rising popularity in vamp roles that were based in kind of exoticism and sexual domination. If you kind of think the Mata Hari kind of looking roles.
Yeah.
She's gorgeous. For that time period, she's oozing sex appeal.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like a alligator.
No, but I suppose if that's who she looked up to, who she wanted herself to be, she was going to name. I mean, it's the same as I always told you, if I get myself a bulldog, I'm going to name it Chewbacca,
Because you aspire to be Chewie.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I know you've got a Wookiee fetish, so I got to try and aspire.
There's a name for that.
What,
it's
a
not
Wookiee fetish? She now knows the name of the fetish. This is how far the Wookiee fetish has gone. She has learned the name.
It is quite common for girls to have...
a Wookiee fetish?
Yeah. Yeah. And to have a crush on the Beast from Beauty and the Beast. But it's more of, it's when you break it down, the name, I can't remember what the name for that, not fetish, there's a different term again for fetish, but it's actually the intelligence behind the wildness is what you're drawn to.
Yeah. The intelligence behind the wildness.
Yeah, I mean, like if you look at the Beast, he looks like a wild animal, but he's very well read.
Wookiees walk around just going and bonking things in the head.
Intelligent.
You should have seen it. I found out about this little fucking interest when Black Chrysanthemum walked onto the screen in The Mandalorian. Was it Boba Fett? And I swear she started blushing.
I did not. I'm blushing now. It's because you make me sound bad.
I get her to dress up in sexy lingerie. She makes me wear a full-on furry outfit.
You have a choice. You have a choice between the furry Wookiee outfit or Dr. Frankenfurter. So it's not like I'm boxing you in here.
Depends on if I've shaved or not. Yeah, which one she lets me do.
Okay, back to Pearl.
All right.
So Pearl fed Theda the pieces of the animals she killed, but it wasn't out of mercy. It was out of connection. Theda became one creature Pearl felt understood her. A companion who didn't judge, didn't scold, and didn't demand she be someone that she wasn't. And they also both liked to kill things.
Yes.
Yes.
And unlike her parents, Theda actually appreciated a good performance, provided it ended with a snack.
Yes.
And I mean, if I'm watching a movie, I want some popcorn, so I get it.
Between the suffocating household, the strict parents, and the impossible expectations, and that burning desire for a life far grander than a Texas farm, the pressure inside Pearl was building.
And it would take only the smallest spark to ignite what came next.
Mm-hmm. Howard Douglas came from a very different world than Pearl. Born in Texas in the 1890s, he was raised in a family with real money. Old money, land money, the kind of money that sends children to finishing schools instead of chores at dawn. He had one sibling even, a younger sister named Mitzi, and the Douglas household expected great things from their son. A gentleman's life, a respectable career, a respectable marriage.
Instead, Howard looked at all the wealth and said, "No thanks, I think I'd rather sweat it out in the field." Which honestly makes him the only man in Texas history to disappoint his father by working too hard.
Yeah.
Hank Hill would have loved this kid.
Oh, he'd been Hank's favourite. So against his parents' wishes, Howard took a job as a farmhand on Powder Keg Farms, Pearl's family land. He liked the simplicity of it, which is understandable, I suppose, in one sense.
God, if they knew what was coming when they named that farm.
Yep. He liked the early mornings and the honest work and the dirt under his fingernails. When he wasn't rebelling, he genuinely preferred that life. And for a girl like Pearl, trapped in a suffocating home with parents who didn't understand her, Howard was basically dazzling.
Yeah. Tall, handsome, polite, and rich. That's the dream team right there. The ultimate Chad. Piss all the incels off. He could have walked up wearing a halo and a winning lottery ticket and the effect would have been the exact same.
Yeah. And Pearl fell hard. And she fell fast. And she saw in Howard a ticket out, a future away from the bleakness of the farm. But she also understood instinctively that Howard was not a man who would accept the darker pieces of her personality. Not her temper, not her intrusive daydreams, and certainly not her extracurricular activities in the barnyard.
You make him sound dirty.
Well, they're not exactly pleasant.
Depends on what movie she saw that day. Some people hide bad habits like biting their nails. Pearl hid the fact that she was feeding dismembered animals to her pet alligator. Relationship advice books do not cover.
So she performed again, just like she did for the animals, and she presented a calmer, sweeter version of herself. Someone agreeable and manageable. Someone who didn't feel like she was being boiled alive by her own ambition, and it worked. Despite the Douglas family's objections, which were loud ones, Howard married Pearl in 1917 in a quiet ceremony. No glamour, but to Pearl, it was the first step towards escape.
They'd spend hours down by the lake together, talking about the future. Pearl spun these long, starry-eyed threads about traveling the world, living in luxury, basking in applause. Howard, he just thought it was all playful daydreaming. A pleasant fantasy. He never suspected that Pearl meant every single word.
The tragedy, of course, is that their life together barely had time to start. When the United States entered the First World War, Howard was immediately eligible for service. His wealthy family offered to pay a doctor quietly to deem him unfit, and that wasn't rare. That wasn't shocking. It was just how things were done in certain circles.
But Howard was stubborn and honoured bound to a fault. He refused their help and marched himself straight into the enlistment office like he'd been preparing for battle his whole life. But that's the thing though as well. I mean, it's fine to say that it wasn't rare and wasn't shocking, but you would have an awful stigma on you. Being a young man staying at home during, such a big war where everybody else is sacrificing and putting themselves forward,
Absolutely.
I mean, you see that today. I don't agree with it, but you see that today with this whole thing of we get a lot of Ukrainian refugees into the country,
and a lot of the men are shit on for that reason.
That's the first thing every fucking like racist, super left wing, super right wing. Super right wing nut will go for is, well, if they're eligible and they're of age, they should be over there fighting for their country.
But how do you know they're not eligible? Have you asked this man their medical background? I mean, some of the people that you'd see online looking for houses over here in Ireland, and they get these comments, but some of them look like they're as skinny as my fucking baby finger. Like, do you know, you don't know what's going on in there.
That's it. A lot of ailments aren't visible straight away.
No.
I mean,
there's a lot of hidden disabilities.
I mean, you could see the guy, he could look like a healthy enough guy, but he could have extreme fucking asthma. One bomb goes off, there's dust everywhere. The guy drops dead from not being able to fucking breathe. He's not much use. No, he's a burden to the fucking army.
But like, it's not just even like physical. I mean, like, I'm sure like severe mental health issues or depression would kind of like rule you out as well, because we all have seen the videos of people shell shocked from World War I and World War II. I mean, that's obviously easy happen, and you don't need that on the front line. Yeah,
last thing you want is for the guy to like turn around and start shooting fucking his own people because he's fucking out of his mind, fucking crazy. But
so anyway, Howard was deployed to France, and the experience changed him. The trenches, the shells, and the chaos. Howard saw real combat, and he carried the weight of it. Still, he kept writing to Pearl reliable letters, gentle ones. A lifeline from a battered world.
I'll be honest, you just watching Band of Brothers gets me fucking shell-shocked half the time.
Oh my God, I get so emotional, Band of Brothers.
When you're just fucking cuddled up in the fucking foxhole and there's just bombs coming everywhere. And just the idea of running at a wall of bullets. To me, watching it, it's like running at air that could kill you at any second. Because you can't see the bullets. You can't see the danger coming at you. All you're seeing around you is a bunch of you running, and as you're running, one at a time, people are just dropping to the floor dead next to you. Like 1 minute they're there, next minute they're gone. I mean, if that doesn't fuck you up, along with the constant... You're
never going to sleep right again, like.
No, every crash is going to make you jump out of your fucking skin. Every little bang is going to make you fucking shit yourself. It's natural.
It's not like you're not going to bond with these people. You've no choice but to bond with your brothers.
The realistic side of it is, despite the fact that we are historically a war fucking hungry fucking civilization, war isn't natural.
No.
And this weird thing about war is it's all to do with imaginary lines drawn on a map.
Or imaginary people in the sky.
Or one man who's crazy and got elected into power for some fucking reason. You know, it's just bonkers shit. What can you do? Yes. Round them all up and shoot them. That's what you can do. But I didn't say that, and I definitely do not approve of that message.
You are not inciting violence.
Where are we?
Right there.
Anyway, meanwhile, Pearl was back home, dreaming bigger, wanting more, and waiting for a man who had no idea just how much darkness and how much hunger was growing in her without him.
There was one more early warning sign with Pearl, one that tends to get glossed over because it's uncomfortable, even by the standards of this case. So not long after she married Howard, Pearl became pregnant. And Howard was thrilled. Even Pearl's stern parents allowed themselves a moment of joy. But Pearl wasn't celebrating.
Because a baby wasn't a blessing in her mind. It was a wall, a very tiny, very loud wall between her and Hollywood. You got to look at it. I mean, even...
It would have been back then. Yeah.
Back then, it would have been 10 years ago. Would have been 20 years ago. I mean, no, I'm not just talking about Hollywood. Obviously, back then in Hollywood, it was a kiss of death.
Yeah,
it was your fucking finished. Yeah. You're pregnant, done.
But you're here, what was it, about 40, 50 years ago? Less even. You couldn't even be a teacher if you had a kid, like.
But again, going back to professional wrestling, which I know a lot about and that I've been following since I was a child. A woman in wrestling gets pregnant. That's it. Done. Finished. Nice, Becky Lynch herself has said like that this is the first generation of female wrestlers who are able to get pregnant and come back to their job.
But Jade Cargill has a kid.
You know? Yeah, but before that was completely unheard of. Like that just didn't happen. Because number one, if you're having a baby, your body isn't going to be what we want it to be anymore. So you're out. despite how much work. Plus, you got to take care of the child. Plus, plus if you're having kids and if you're of family rearing age, you've aged out anyway. You're not a young, early 20-year-old model anymore. You got to remember.
That's true.
Women wrestlers used to be real wrestlers. There was a lot of them that wanted to be wrestlers.
They still weren't what you call real. They were like models that were like, right, you're going to be a wrestler now.
Models that were taught how to wrestle, as opposed to people who had ambition to be a wrestler and become a wrestler. Do you know?
Yeah. And we're going to be good wrestlers because they had that.
Yeah.
Want.
And that's very similar to what it was like in Hollywood at that stage. It was like, well, you're going to have a baby. But like you said, it wasn't just Hollywood. It was every job. At this time in society, pregnancy meant that whatever you were doing got dropped and you were to get your ass home and take care of your husband, take care of your fucking kids, and take care of the house. That's your job now. This is your lot in life.
Be happy with it.
This is your job now. Get on with it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So the pregnancy pushed Pearl into a deep depression. She stopped leaving her room, she stopped speaking, and she stopped pretending. That burning ambition inside her, it didn't dim, it twisted. And then about 5 months in, Pearl suffered a miscarriage after falling down the stairs.
And let's put a generous set of quotation marks around that word. Falling.
Sorry, I did it one-handed. It's a major one. So officially nobody questioned it. I mean, accidents happen, grief happens. But biographers and honestly the patterns in Pearl's life suggest something else entirely. That Pearl may have thrown herself down those stairs on purpose, not out of despair, but out of preservation, preserving her dream, preserving her image of the future, and preserving the part of herself that believed she wasn't meant for a farm or for motherhood, but for the spotlight and fame.
See, this is where this whole pro-choice thing fucking comes in.
Mm-hmm.
You want women throwing themselves down the stairs the whole time? Yeah. Idiots. Yeah. And that choice, if it was a choice, tells us Pearl Douglas was already willing to harm herself, her unborn child, anyone, if it kept her fantasies alive just a little longer.
Exactly. And while Howard was overseas in the trenches of France, another war was closing in on Pearl from all sides, the Spanish flu. A global pandemic tightening its grip on the world. Travel halted, towns shuttered, and every road out of Texas suddenly felt barricaded. Howard was gone, and Pearl's escape route vanished with him.
Thank fuck that shit only happens like once every 100 years.
Yeah.
I couldn't go through it.
Oh, no.
It was like the universe said, you want some freedom, Pearl? Here's a quarantine instead. Honestly, even for Pearl, that's a bit harsh. All right? It does feel like the odds were stacked against her every time she went to make a move.
Roadblock at every turn. I wouldn't mind 2 weeks of it though, if I'm being honest. Just a short shutdown. It'd be nice if we were just stopped for 2 weeks over Christmas and we could sleep and play games and read books.
Yeah. That's because you have to work over Christmas.
It is.
Such a
I've
dick
got
move.
2 days off.
They're
not even Christmas though. It's like the 22nd to the 30th.
Don't you miss like the fucking days where just the world stopped for at least a week between Christmas and New Year's? We're just, boom, we're done. Where everyone's just going to chill out and have some fucking fun. Yeah. And the only people that had to work back then were people who worked in bars and hotels and stuff. Hospitality.
Sorry for them. Yeah, but even at that, in Ireland, the majority, some hospitality workers would have to work. I know our hotels shut.
Christmas Day, nothing fucking open.
No. Oh, but Christmas Eve, you'd be working all right in the bar.
Yeah, but I just mean in general, the whole Christmas fucking
holiday, yeah. So to make matters worse for Pearl, her family's German heritage turned them into targets of suspicion. Wartime paranoia meant neighbours watched them with narrow eyes, and every supply run became an exercise in tension. And rationing hit powder keg farms hard. Food was scarce, medicine was even scarcer, and hope was non-existent.
And then comes the cherry on the misery sundae. Matt, Pearl's father, catches the flu.
He does.
Or the germ, as they called it then. The germ. And it doesn't just make him sick, it just fucking destroys him. Yep. And you thought long COVID was bad. The germ
was
not
a long
good.
germ. So Matt survived the infection, but barely survived. What was left of him wasn't a man. Like, he couldn't move, he couldn't speak, and he could only stare. A living statue trapped in his own body. And with that, Ruth, the already strict, already severe matriarch, became even harder. Every penny was guarded and every chore demanded. And any mention of Pearl's dreams was stomped flat before it could even leave her mouth.
Yeah, Ruth basically turned into a human embodiment of a tax audit.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, what happened to Matt is like my biggest fear.
locked in syndrome.
Oh,
like.
shit. Imagine it. Like, literally, is it like that Metallica song, One?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the video of that?
Mm-mm.
Oh, it's like the song One is literally, you know, it's a war song, but the video, like, it's just a guy who's lost his legs, lost his arms, lost his sight, lost his eye, you know, he's hearing, lost
All he is just himself.
yeah, your
No, I
brain,
don't like that.
your brain in darkness on its own, not able to know what's going on around you, not being able to communicate with anything around you, just locked into your head.
No, don't. That is scary.
You
That's
alone
horror.
in your brain. Yeah, that's horror. You alone with your brain.
Yeah, but it is like. So, but Pearl didn't
Could
break.
make the cheapest fucking horror movie ever. Just a black screen with a voiceover of a guy thinking and his thoughts and his insanity as it goes on over the hour
Sounds
and a
like
half.
Buried, but more intense.
Well, imagine that selling everybody on just a black screen.
So, if anything, for Pearl, the confinement made her fantasies burn brighter. She still slipped out to the pictures when she could, and she still rehearsed her performances for the cows and the goats. Still pictured herself on dazzling stages where her real life collapsed around her. And then Ruth made a choice. She put Pearl in charge of caring for Matt.
Which is one of the worst parenting decisions in American history. It's up there with letting a kid keep a pet rattlesnake.
Well, is it defanged?
Huh?
Is it defanged?
From what I learned doing this story, no, Pearl is most definitely not
I meant the
defanged
snake.
and won't be defanged for a very long time. Pearl is the rattlesnake.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you know?
Yeah. But Ruth thought responsibility would force Pearl to grow up, and you could kind of see the line of thinking.
Yeah.
She thought it would force her to accept reality and to understand that life requires duty and sacrifice. But instead, it gave Pearl a new outlet for all the aggression, resentment, and wildness she'd been forced to hide.
There's nothing says future serial killer like put them in charge as someone who can't run away. Plus, I question the sense here. We have suspicions that Pearl threw herself down the stairs so she wouldn't have a baby to take care of. So now we're going to give her a person who requires changing, feeding,
Washing.
taking care of.
Bringing him for walks.
It's just less brittle. So it's like, well, she broke the last one. Give her a rougher one. Give her a more sturdy one. This one should be fine.
Who's not as sturdy as he used to be. So Pearl took full advantage. She pinched him when no one was around. She mocked him. She teased him. And she'd bathe naked in front of him, speaking softly about her dreams of stardom, of escaping Texas forever, and of living a life drenched in California excess. Her father, trapped and powerless, became a captive audience to her fantasies and her cruelty.
I will say one thing, right? Because I was thinking about this whole bathed naked in front of him. I don't see a problem with it. Because considering the situation he finds himself in, I don't think he's going to get horny to his naked daughter. I don't think any naked woman at that point could save the fucking day. I think if your problem is like locked in somewhere where you can only like move your eyes around the place and nothing else moves for you, I don't think sex is high on your list of
No.
thing. I don't think you're seeing her boobs and going, oh, I wish I could move my hands just so I could give him a squeeze.
But don't
I
get
think
hurt,
it's
don't
just
get hurt,
like,
don't get hurt.
yeah. I think it's still basically like, this fucking sucks. Everything fucking sucks. And all this bitch won't shut the fuck up about Hollywood. I can't fucking stand this shit. Because I imagine being paralyzed and forced to third wheel your own daughter's Hollywood delusions. That's not care. That's psychological waterboarding, you know?
Absolutely.
I think like the nudity, the nakedness of this situation of the bathing, I think that's on the lower scale of the offending of what she did.
Oh, absolutely.
You know?
100%. So between the pandemic, the isolation, the rationing, the judgment from neighbours, the trapped father, and the suffocating mother, Pearl's world narrowed into something twisted.
And every day, every hour, every chore pushed her one step closer to a breaking point.
And in the middle of all this chaos, Howard at war, Matt incapacitated, Ruth tightening her grip, Pearl got a surprise visit from Mrs. Douglas in Mitzi. Howard's mother came bearing food supplies, including a full roasted pig, apple in mouth and everything. A gesture of genuine charity, or at least genuine wealth.
Yeah, a whole pig in 1918, like... it's like showing up with a bouquet of €100 notes at this point. It's luxury, like
Well,
it's like this is only the rich and would have it to give out. To give, I don't think it would be a problem for someone who owned a farm, but to be able to give away a pig.
But if you think about it, when I was getting quotations for like when we were getting married, and because we've always wanted a pig and a spit, I'd be happy with just a pig and a spit. $2,500 for one fucking pig.
But that's an actual full pig, from what I've been led to believe, because this eventually ends up on the table. It would only be it's like a piglet. Also, little pig.
Tiny thing. Yeah. Can you eat piglet meat? I thought you gotta have wait till they get bigger. That could just be
this thing. We know by the end of the story it'll fit in a fucking kitchen table, so I mean it can't be that big.
Yeah, that's true. But Ruth wanted nothing to do with it. Pride is a powerful thing, and Ruth's pride could probably stop a freight train. She refused the pig outright, saying that they didn't need someone else's handouts. And since she wouldn't let Mrs. Douglas take it back, the poor animal's carcass sat on the porch, rotting. Slowly. Publicly.
Because nothing says we're doing fine like letting a pig decay on your doorstep like some kind of passive-aggressive lawn ornament.
And while their mothers argued subtle class warfare, Pearl and Mitzi took the opportunity to catch up. Months of quarantine had kept them apart, and Mitzi had all the town gossip ready to spill. But one piece of news electrified Pearl. There were dance auditions happening that week at the community hall. A travelling church troupe was performing, a morale booster meant to bring joy to Texans who'd been battered by war and disease. Mitzi planned to audition, and Pearl immediately vowed she would too.
Because nothing lifts the spirits quite like a pandemic dance team. I'm sure the cheerio was incredible. 1, 2, 3, don't sneeze on me.
I wonder, is that how Ring a Ring a Rosie started? Later that day, Pearl made a supply into town, supposedly to pick up medicine for her father. But as always, she found time for a detour, a quick movie at the Picture House. Sitting in that dark theatre, dreaming again, she met a man who would become a spark in her already volatile imagination. So that was the projectionist, David Kent.
I wish we started calling it the Pictures again. I like the Pictures. It sounds cool, isn't it? Yeah.
And going to the talkies.
So yeah, Dave Kent, every girl's dream, some guy in a dusty boot surrounded by fire hazards.
David was charming in the way drifters often are. Soft-spoken, confident, mysterious, because he had nothing to lose. Pearl told him she wanted to be in the movie someday, and instead of dismissing it like everyone else in her life, he encouraged her. He told her she had the look for it and told her she could be someone. And Pearl absorbed every word like gospel.
Well, you tell Pearl she could be famous. That's basically handing a pyromaniac a box of matches and saying, I trust you.
Go stay in my house for the night. You'll be fine. So before she left, David made her an offer. She could come back anytime, use the back entrance, and watch any movie she wanted for free from the projection room with him.
Nice. It was a small doorway, but for Pearl, it felt like the first real crack in the walls that kept her trapped her entire life.
Yeah. And for all Pearl's small victories, meeting David, sneaking off to the movies, home was never far behind. That day, despite the projectionist's generous offer, Pearl had still paid for her ticket. And Ruth noticed.
Ah, yes. Nothing sparks a family feud faster than a few pennies missing from the farm ledger, especially when those pennies are, let's say, funding your daughter's dreams of movie stardom instead of farm life.
Yeah, exactly. And Ruth confronted Pearl. And what started as a scolding quickly became an argument, a full-blown storm of German language shouting. Ruth couldn't comprehend why Pearl was ungrateful. To her, Pearl had everything: food, shelter, family, a husband, security. Wasn't that enough?
Well, you know what? Before I go on to the next part, I do like listening to Germans shout at each other.
So do I.
It's the one thing I enjoy about Hitler is listening to him screaming and losing his mind, his hair flapping all over the place. It always just sounds so fucking... I don't know. I think it's because the first time as a child that I had seen Hitler screaming like that was in a Looney Tunes cartoon.
Yeah, in my head, when I think of him screaming like that, it's like, you know, in the silent movies, and they had the wind up cameras, so sometimes they go a tiny bit faster and everything kind of moves. He's there jumping, and the hands going out and jumping and just going like really, really fast in my head. I don't think that he was, but it's that kind of cartoonish image though.
No, I remember there was one. It was a Daffy Duck cartoon. It's banned.
Banned now, yeah.
Which
yeah,
is
I know
ridiculous because it's just him taking the piss. I think there might have been one or two maybe Asian stereotypes thrown in there that got it banned.
that got it banned.
But there was the big German Nazi bird and his little Nazi sidekick kind of who wore he was like a tiny bird, but you never really saw him bar the beak in his eyes because the helmet was too big.
Yeah, I know him.
He was Schultz.
Yeah.
I remember that because the taller bird would always be going Schultz, and when he got angry at him. And Daffy Duck was fucking with the two of them. But eventually, near the end of the cartoon, he gets away on a plane and it comes out of one of the fighter planes down on a parachute and he lands right into Hitler's arms as Hitler's giving one of his speeches, and beforehand he's all and obviously
Good German.
I've also seen this done on South Park multiple fucking times
That's
as well
why you've got
because
good German.
Cartman does have a thing for Mr. Hitler as well.
He does.
Anyway, where were we? So we were talking about. I get confused sometimes. I run off on a tangent and just forget where I am. So yeah, so to her, Pearl had. So yeah, she was wondering why Pearl was ungrateful.
Yeah.
Because she had everything. She had a roof over her head, her belly was full, clothes on her back. What she got to be bitching about? She got a husband. She's got everything she should fucking need. So apparently not though.
Yeah.
Because because Pearl didn't want all that. She wanted Hollywood.
She did.
And she wanted it yesterday.
And Pearl tried to reason with her mother. She even offered a compromise. If Ruth would allow her to audition for the dance troupe, she would promise to abandon the dream if she was told that she had no talent. She just wanted one chance.
One tiny chance to twirl around the community hall and prove her worth. And Ruth still said no. Classic paternal sabotage.
Yep. And the argument escalated. Voices turned into shoving into struggling, and struggling into tragedy. In a moment Pearl would later call an accident, she shoved her mother toward the open flames of the fireplace, and Ruth's dress caught up instantly.
Nothing like a little domestic pyrotechnics to really liven up a Tuesday afternoon.
Panicking, Pearl threw boiling water at her mother to try and put out the fire. But it was too late. Ruth was badly burned. And Pearl dragged her to the basement, leaving her to suffer, still breathing, still conscious, while Pearl abandoned her terrified, helpless father upstairs.
And then, because, of course, Pearl didn't just sit around, didn't want to just sit around. No mourning, no hesitation. She went back to town, back to the pictures, to David, free admission. Her dreams of stardom were waiting, and nothing, even a mother on fire, was going to stop her.
It was a turning point. Pearl had crossed the threshold from cruelty towards animals to violence against a human being. And she did it in a way that would haunt the rest of her life and define it.
Yeah. If ever there was a time to ask, where does the farm girl go from here? The answer is already written in the ashes, isn't it?
The movie Pearl watched that night wasn't anything she'd ever seen before. Not a Hollywood spectacle, not a wholesome romance, not a melodrama to make her swoon. No. David Kent showed her something completely different. A then illegal underground film reel he'd shot himself. Pornography. Something that was too scandalous, taboo, and technically a crime.
And in true Pearl fashion, didn't face her one bit. Some girl see sin, Pearl saw stardom.
David's intentions were clear. He wasn't planning to send Pearl to Hollywood. His ambitions were far smaller, or maybe far darker. He wanted her as one of his new actresses in these art films. He dreamed of expanding in Europe, where audiences were more permissive.
See, this is the thing, right? Because I don't want anyone to misinterpret the phrase maybe darker.
It's darker when you're coercing somebody.
Yeah. If someone makes a decision to do this...
It's not dark. It's your decision. Go for it. You're happy with doing it.
We all support you. I enjoy watching your movies. You're very good at what you do. But
come on, sir.
If it's a case of tricking somebody into the position, doing a fucking... What's that fuckface's name from fucking the UFC guy, the influencer that all the boys like...
Oh, Andrew Tate.
Yeah. If you Andrew Tate them, then
it's darker.
Yeah. And then he's Andrew Tating her. It's come with me and we will make films, and then you get there and you're
You slept with 1,000 men and you're a woman with good morals, Bonnie Blue. That is exactly what he said to her. You are a hard working woman, good man.
Even
good woman, even.
At the same time, he wants a traditional woman.
He wants a traditional woman, but he's blowing smoke up Bonnie Blue's arse, though.
Fucking away with the fairies. That video you showed me during the week of that
but
dude.
You like sniz. Who calls it sniz, first of all?
Yeah,
like,
giving out to a lesbian for not having a
was his
traditional
name?
lifestyle, even though his wife had, 2 or 3 baby daddies?
She's, again, there's nothing wrong with
Nothing
this,
wrong with that,
what
but it's
he
not
preaches.
traditional.
It's not traditional. So, like, he's her third husband, and it's 2 or 3 kids with 2 previous husbands.
I mean, heads up, we're not traditional either over here. We got 2 kids.
But he's
No
using his
dads.
platform, and she goes on it with him to preach traditional values. And all this girl did was point out, hang on now 2 seconds, you're not traditional either. You can't be promoting and preaching to people when you're not living a traditional lifestyle. And she said something about the wife, like having the 3. And he was like, you lick sniz, keep my wife's name out of your fucking mouth, fucking Will Smith in it, instead of giving her a backhand. But it's just that instant turn, as in no, fact, you can't prove me wrong, so I'm going to offend you by giving out to you for doing something that you like.
See, this is like, because again, I don't want my words misinterpreted.
No,
but this is like what I said before. It's like
you can't point the finger because they'll always be pointing back.
Traditional. If you want to be traditional about it, like old school traditional, then you should both be virgins when you get fucking married. It's the same as when we were going on about this fucking whole thing of people calling gay sex unnatural, and I point out, Joe, is like, well, technically, any sex that is not to procreate and make children is unnatural. It's not what we're supposed to do, which makes it not natural. Doesn't make it bad. It just means it's not. I mean, by definition,
every time that you have sex and you don't get pregnant, it's unnatural.
Well, no, if you're attempting to get pregnant, I assume that's the loophole. But if you're having sex for pleasure or for recreational uses. Yeah. Then that's there. And if it's in any place bar the vagina, you are instantly unnatural. So I mean, you can't go around telling gay people they're unnatural when you have unnatural sex with your wife every time you do it to not have a child.
Exactly.
You know, unless every time you have sex, the goal is to impregnate her. Unnatural. Animals don't have sex for fun. They do it to make more animals. So we are the exact same way.
Anytime you watch porn, anytime you go to
unnatural.
Unnatural.
I'm unnatural and proud.
I'm going to get a stamp that says unnatural. And every time unnatural.
Untraditional and unnatural, and I'm fucking proud of it.
And that man clearly doesn't lick sniz either, and his poor wife.
Who, me or him?
No, that guy that was given out to that girl for... I'm not even going to say that word again. It's nasty. Who calls it that? What a fucking 5-year-old. Like, to be honest, it's a really weird way of announcing to the world that he's a really small wiener. But
and that he doesn't give his wife any good time. I eat pussy and I'm proud.
That's lies. No, I'm joking.
Okay, where were we?
It's the tongue thing.
So where were we now? I keep going off this. So art films. So like I said, Pearl didn't give a shit though. He was trying to coerce her, but Pearl didn't need any coercion. She would have went along with this either way. Fame was fame. Big screen was big screen. Dancing on a stage, parading in a community hall, or appearing in a risque film. It all fed the same hunger. And in her mind, the world watching her, admiring her, validating her beauty and her power, that's what mattered. So didn't make a difference what type of movie it was, as long as it was a movie.
Exactly. And this moment would become pivotal in her history. Later, the murders she committed, her signature killings, would be sensationalized under the media tag, the Texas Porn Star Massacre. And it all traced back to that night, that film, the intoxicating mix of glamour, attention, and forbidden allure. Yeah,
Pearl had no shame about sex, no moral hang-up. She's like, oh, she's cool. Until she does all the bad stuff, then she's not going to. She saw desire, even voyeurism, as proof she was special. Someone wanted to see her, and to Pearl, that made her exceptional, beautiful, untouchable, irresistible. See, this is again why she would have done perfect in this time. Between Instagram and OnlyFans, Pearl had been happier than a pig in shit.
The money. The excitement of escaping Texas for Europe with David and of leaving farm life behind ignited Pearl's impulsive side. That night, despite being married to Howard even, she slept with the projectionist. Not romance, not love, ambition in flesh and blood.
A warning label if there ever was one. Don't mix obsession with opportunity. It rarely ends quietly.
And the next morning, David drove her home so she could prepare for the dance troupe audition. But it was on that ride, with the adrenaline of the night still burning, that Pearl finally snapped.
And by snapped, we don't mean a minor outburst. This wasn't a shove or a shove gone wrong. This was where the cruelty that had been hiding behind daydreams, barnyard theatrics, and small acts of rebellion became something monstrous, deliberate, unstoppable.
And from that moment, there was no turning back. Pearl Douglas's descent into murder, the true start of her serial killing career, had begun. After David brought Pearl home that morning, she put on a show of care for her father. Matt had been left helpless for hours, but Pearl made sure he was clean, presentable, and ready for her guest. Everything had to look perfect, and everything had to appear normal.
A clean farmhand, a tidy farm girl, and a projectionist, none the wiser. Appearances, Pearl's first weapon.
She brought David to her room under the pretense of intimacy. But the quiet of the farmhouse was shattered by sudden noises from the basement. Ruth, barely clinging to life after Pearl's previous attack, thrashed and screamed in her final death throes.
And here's the thing, David heard it. And he reacted like any normal man would react. Curiosity mixed with concern.
Pearl quickly explained it away as the rowdy family dog just screaming downstairs. Well, our dog screams.
Yeah. Our dog, when we leave him out the back, we know he wants to come back in from outside, not because he scratched at the door or barks.
Whines.
It's because we hear this outside the door. And then I know the dog is outside the back garden. He literally screams to come back
to get
inside.
in. I'd say he doesn't want to bark anymore. She kept her tone casual, but her mind was already calculating the next step.
Because that's Pearl. Always calculating, always performing, always one step ahead.
And next, she led him to the barn, the space where she performed her little shows for the animals. And she explained everything, detailing the animals' names and routines, as if giving him a backstage tour. And in doing so, she accidentally revealed a crucial truth. The family had no dog.
Yes, David's instincts were screaming at him. Something was off. Very off.
Realising Pearl was, I suppose, eccentric at best, and suspecting more than just youthful oddity, David tried to leave. He made an excuse about work and told her that she needed to go prepare for her audition.
But Pearl was used to people showing fear, especially when she let them glimpse too much of her real self. She had seen it before when she'd leave the mask slip a little bit. This person, they saw too much.
Yeah.
They're uncomfortable.
Exactly. So she confronted him. She was angry, furious, demanding to know why he had suddenly grown cold, accusing him of using her, of never having any intention of taking her to Europe.
And then as he moved towards his car, she snapped.
And she grabbed a pitchfork and in a brutal, deliberate act, she stabbed David repeatedly. She then disposed of his body in the lake, letting Theda, the alligator, consume him. The car, however, remained where it lay.
Which was in the lake.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention that she'd moved the car, pushed it in the lake. Did what all Norman used to do, except Norman's swamp used to swallow it. Theda couldn't swallow the car, unfortunately. And just like that, Pearl crossed the line. Not an accident this time. Not a momentary lapse. She didn't accidentally fall in a struggle or any shit like this. This was a statement. This was the first act of a career that would become infamous.
And by this point, Pearl wasn't just dreaming about that dance troupe. She was living it in her head. She packed a travel bag, put on her best dress, and painted herself up like she was already on a poster. In her mind, she was gone. She'd left the farm long before her feet even touched the road.
But dreams have a way of leaving loose ends. And Pearl knew she couldn't leave those loose ends riding around back at home.
Exactly. And with Ruth probably dying in the basement and David, being processed by Theda in the lake, Pearl turned her attention to the one person she genuinely believed she loved, her father, Matt. And she convinced herself that what she was about to do was an act of mercy.
And that's the thing about Pearl. Every horror, every sin, every violent impulse, she could justify it, wrap it in a ribbon and call it compassion.
Matt had been sitting in his own filth for hours by then. Pearl cleaned him, dressed him in his Sunday best, and fed him a heavy dose of his medication. At that time, medication like that contained morphine, enough to blur the edge of consciousness.
Enough to make the end seem softer. If you're twisted enough to see it that way, you know, she made sure he drank enough of it.
Yeah. Pearl told him that she loved him. She told him that they were both trapped there and told him that this was for the best. Then she placed a thick cloth over his face and held it there. She held it tight. And she held it until her father, unable to speak, move, a prisoner in his own body, finally stopped struggling.
Did she not realise she could have just fed him the entire bottle of morphine and this job would have been done
and
in
he'd
a
have
much
just
more
fallen
pleasant
asleep.
Yeah. That was the moment Pearl Douglas truly severed every tie to her old life. Ruth, David, Matt, all the obstacles to stardom cleared away in one brutal sweep.
Mm-hmm. And when it was done, she didn't cry. She didn't hesitate. She stepped outside, climbed onto her bicycle, and rode toward her audition as if she wasn't leaving 3 bodies behind her. As if she were simply late for a date with destiny.
Pearl had killed for freedom. Now she was going to dance for it.
Mm-hmm. And when Pearl arrived at the community hall, Mitzi was already there, waiting, nervous, fidgeting, trying to psych herself up. But Pearl, though, she was on another wavelength entirely. Rocking in her chair, whispering, "They have to pick me. They have to pick me." Like a mantra, she was willing into reality.
You know you're in trouble when someone starts treating a church hall talent show like it's the gates of heaven and fucking hell.
Yeah. So Mitzi was next to go in, but she suddenly lost her nerve and she just blanked. And she asked Pearl to trade places with her, giving her 5 more minutes to pull herself together.
5 minutes Mitzi would regret for the rest of her life, however long that turned out to be.
Dun, dun, dun. So Pearl was only too eager. She practically launched herself into that hall, and witnesses say that she danced her little heart out that day, every ounce of her desperation pouring out of her.
But the judges weren't just looking for dance. They wanted the sweet blonde next door, the clean-cut, all-American angel to parade around Texas as a symbol of hope.
And Pearl was not that.
No.
Not to them. Like, sure, she had the moves, but they'd seen those moves 100 times before. They wanted a look, and Pearl didn't fit the mold. So they rejected her, flat out. And that rejection, after everything she'd done to get there, it didn't just break her heart, it finished it. Turned it black as tar.
But you'd have to imagine, too, being told, well, you got the talent, you just don't have the look, will be soul-crushing. It's like, I can do this. You're just not happy with how I look. I mean, blonde hair, I can go home and fucking dye my hair blonde. Let's just do that. You know, what's the problem? But obviously, if you've seen, we posted pictures of Pearl on our Instagram today. Promoting what she, you know, they're black and white because, I mean, from the time period.
You can still tell
she's a pretty girl. But she definitely a unique look as opposed to like what we were discussing lately. How I said, like, you look at like all these like fucking Instagram models and all this kind of stuff. And I pointed it out for professional. And we were talking about like modeling in general. And I said it's very similar to, again, professional wrestling. I said, well, when it comes to professional wrestling, you can rather be really good looking or really quirky looking. If you're plain looking, nobody gives a fuck. You're not going to get there anyway. And I don't mean plain as in ugly, but as in
there's no standout
conventional.
Feature. Yeah.
You could be beautiful, but still not have anything quirky about you. You need a bit of quirk about you. Yeah. And she didn't. She did have it, but she had it in the wrong way.
For them.
Yeah. They were looking for more of the plain white bread, baby face fucking look.
It's weird considering, I mean, like what they were fighting over in World War I, and they were still looking for that Aryan looking American.
Yeah. So you kill your mother, Mercy kill your father, Fork a projectionist, and then and then someone says, "Sorry, hon, we're going in a different direction." I can see how that might sting a little.
Yeah. So after her own audition, Mitzi found Pearl at the back of the hall, sobbing uncontrollably. No theatrics, no posturing, just raw despair. Mitzi did what she could to comfort her, but it was like trying to stop a dam with a napkin, basically. So still, she convinced Pearl to let her escort her home just to make sure she'd be okay.
And spoiler alert, she would not be okay.
No. When Mitzi and Pearl arrived back at the Douglas farm, the first thing Mitzi noticed was the cooked pig Pearl's mother-in-law had dropped off the days earlier, now collapsing in on itself under a blanket of maggots. And horrifically, That was the least disturbing thing waiting inside that farmhouse.
That's fucked up because I hate maggots.
Hate maggots.
I don't know what it is.
I like the sound of them. Yuck. No.
If the welcome mat is a rotten pork carcass, you turn around, you just fuck off. It should be a basic survival instinct.
Yeah,
if they're willing, if this is still there,
straight away.
Yeah.
So they stepped inside and the kitchen looked like a tornado had thrown a tantrum in it. Pots overturned, scorch marks, furniture shifted. The aftermath of Pearl's fight with Ruth was still written across the room. Pearl sat Mitzi down and told her everything. Not just that she was heartbroken. No, she said she was afraid. Afraid of what people would think if they ever found out who she really was and what she was capable of. And above everyone else, she was worried about Howard, what he'd think if he saw the real Pearl.
To be fair, by the way, honey, while you were storming trenches in France, I started auditioning for the title of Worst Person Alive. Isn't the easiest conversation to have.
No. Pearl unspooled her entire soul to Mitzi. And she talked about the dreams she'd held since childhood, the Parisian fantasies, the Hollywood lights, the glamour she thought marriage would unlock for her. She confessed her resentment toward Howard for choosing the war over her, and she admitted that sometimes she wished he wouldn't come back from France. And then she went deeper. She confessed the affair with David Kent, her accidental killing of Ruth, the mercy killings of her incapacitated father, though she now claimed to regret that one, acknowledging that he'd never done anything but provide for her. And she even admitted Ruth had only ever wanted the best for her daughter.
So she's laying out her sins like it's Sunday Mass with a coupon code for indulgences here.
Yeah, exactly. And
Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. I was bad to my mom and dad. I didn't do as I was told.
Yeah, they're the routine ones. The ones you have practiced.
I cursed. I was not nice to my brothers and sisters.
I didn't show love when oh my God. Now, Pearl said that if Howard really came home, she'd change and she'd accept life on the farm. She'd be a good wife. And all she needed was one more chance and enough time to hide the evidence. And it's believed that in this emotional overflow, Pearl forgot Mitzi was even in the room, or worse, she remembered only when it was too late. Mitzi sat frozen, overwhelmed, processing confession after confession, like punch after punch. She didn't know where to look, but she did know she needed to leave that farmhouse before Pearl's mood turned again. Yeah. Pearl asked her very calmly whether she could trust her. Whether Mitzi could keep all of this between them, sisters with a secret. Mitzi agreed instantly. I would have said, yeah, absolutely.
Sure, no problem. I just need to make a quick phone call.
I gotta go down to the neighbour's house there. Yeah. She'd have agreed to anything if she meant it could get off that farm alive. For a moment, Pearl seemed satisfied and Mitzi turned for the door, but Pearl stopped her with one word. Congratulations. Oof. Mitzi blinked. For what? Pearl told her she didn't have to pretend she had the look the judges described. Of course she'd been chosen for the troupe. Mitzi hesitated and then she admitted it. She'd been accepted. And that's when Pearl's face changed, hardened, tightened.
Yeah. The moment that when envy curdles into homicide. Classic Pearl.
Classic Pearl. And Pearl said, you are obviously going to get picked. You get everything you want. It's all so easy for you. Mitzi felt the danger instantly. She thanked Pearl again. She stepped outside and began walking quickly down the yard path. Pearl followed, slowly, casually, and Mitzi sped up. Pearl's eyes landed on an axe leaning against the woodpile, and she picked it up. Mitzi didn't stand a chance. Yeah. Investigators, decades later, pieced together that Pearl ran her down in the yard and took her apart with that axe, even as Mitzi begged for mercy. And Theda, the alligator Pearl had befriended, got her second meal of the day. Good day to be Theda.
Theda's
doing well for herself.
She's just doing her job at this point.
Yeah.
Pearl's the one who turned the lake into an all-you-can-eat buffet.
Can't blame Theda.
The alligator's just doing what alligators do.
Eat.
Yeah.
They don't have to do the death roll, at least. Saving her energy.
Yeah.
Cool.
Happy alligator.
Yep. And after Pearl finished disposing of what remained of Mitzi, she went home and did what any completely normal, stable, not at all homicidal woman would do. She cleaned the kitchen.
Well, cleaned by Pearl standards, meaning wiped the blood off the surfaces but left the psychological trauma deeply embedded in the floorboards.
Those poor floorboards. And she wasn't done there. Pearl hauled Ruth's body up from the basement, what was left of her anyway, cleaned her up as best she could, dressed her in her Sunday best, and sat her at her usual place at the dining table. And then she fetched her father, Matt, wheeled him into his seat too, propping his lifeless frame so he'd look presentable. And next came the pig, the maggot-soaked, sun-baked pig that had been decomposing on the porch for days. Pearl dragged it inside and set it dead centre on the dining table, like some grotesque holiday roast.
Say what you want about Pearl, but the woman understood a theme. Rotting Dreams by hostess Pearl Douglas. 5 stars, Michelin horrifying.
Hey, for effort. She set the table and she tidied the house, and then she waited. The war was winding down and Howard's tour was almost over. He'd be home any day now. And in Pearl's mind, if she could just show him she was a good wife, if she convinced him she was ready for the quiet farm life, they could fix everything. She could still have her second chance, and in her logic, what better way to welcome your returning soldier husband than a dinner table populated by your dead family?
Honestly, I've heard of awkward in-law dinners, but this one feels a little excessive.
Way too over the top. She didn't have long to wait even, and less than a week later, Howard walked through the farmhouse door. And what greeted him was the stench of rot, of death thick in the air, followed by the sight of a pig carcass collapsing on the table, and his wife's parents propped up as if waiting to say grace.
Do you know what? I always wondered, as I was kind of going through this with the research and writing, I was thinking to myself, how did he not enter the house and instantly go, oh, shit? And now I've just remembered, the guys after coming home from World War I, one of the most notoriously violent fucking corpse-filled fucking wars in the history of the world. Mm-hmm. So that smell was probably embedded in his nostrils at that stage. Yeah. He was just like, smells like home.
So this was before he realised his sister Mitzi was missing. Pearl walked into the room, smiling through the madness, ready to embrace her husband, while Howard just stood there, frozen, taking in the carnage his bride had built for him.
Howard survived trench warfare, chemical attacks, machine gun nests, and nothing prepared him for dinner at home.
Mm-hmm. And Howard's reaction? Well, that's where we pick things up next week. As we continue the story of Pearl Douglas and inch closer to the blood-soaked finale history would come to call the Texas Porn Star Massacre.
Yeah, and that's where it gets more complicated and harder for me to fucking put together, but we'll work on it. It'll be fine. I'll have it ready.
It might be this time next year that you get episode 2.
I'll do it. If you're going to make me talk about porn stars and research porn stars.
No, that's not what you're researching.
I got to research the victims. I'm going to have to know all their work. You make me watch all the fucking biographies and documentaries about the other ones. I got to watch them about these and watch their filmography.
I'm changing the password for the Wi-Fi, and when you feel like you're going to behave, you can come and ask me for it, but I'm going to install Family Link on your laptop.
So for research this week, I need a box of tissues, some lotion, and a lock on the door. That's not true. I'll be good.
Why would you lock the door?
I don't know.
It's not like I haven't seen it.
Do you know what I was just thinking? Completely off subject. To take us away from this, because we'll talk about this next week again. But I was just thinking, right? Because obviously, people who are watching us know that we got to read this shit in front of us, right? In our laptops. Yeah. But I'm getting a little projector for Christmas. So, if we hook the projector up to my computer, put it there, and project the script up behind the camera, we can start looking at the people while we talk.
We tried this before and you said it didn't look natural.
That's because we took this little screen here, put it underneath and tried to blow it up, and we were constantly trying to scroll and stuff. This will be better. Trust me. I know what I'm doing. Be fine.
Okay, cool. We'll try
So we can make eye contact with you while we talk about disturbing things. I look
at the audience every so often.
Talking about people getting ripped apart, torn apart, cut up, eaten, and we can look you dead in the eyes while we do it. Brilliant.
You're weird.
Okay.
So if you want more horror and crime fun, then head on over to patreon.com/The Horrorverse Network and check out our bonus show, It's a Live Action, because tomorrow we'll be dropping our bonus show episode where we look at another female serial killer in Aileen Wuornos.
And after that, we have to explain that we do not fucking sympathize with all serial killers.
No.
It just happened that Ed Gein and Aileen Wuornos came pretty close together in our discussion patterns.
But I'm pretty sure 99.9% of other serial killers
We
hear us
dislike.
saying we dislike.
But Ed Gein and Aileen Wuornos,
Had a bit of a bum fucking deal.
yeah, they did.
Basically.
If they could have been friends, maybe that would have saved both of them.
Roommates. Bosom buddies.
Yeah, I feel like they would have gotten on.
No.
I feel like they would have gotten on really well.
What do you think?
Yeah, because Ed would have been fucking a bit more fucking... Ed was a sub, right? He wasn't a dom.
No, yeah, definitely.
So he would have just done whatever Aileen wanted.
Yeah.
And he would have just been happy to have another dominant woman running around telling him what to do. See, that's the thing. All Ed Gein really needed was a dominatrix.
And Aileen would have been happy because he could have dressed up in the boobs for her.
See? Could have stopped there. We could have stopped so many deaths. So many deaths.
There's a massive time difference though there, Josh.
Well, once time travel is a thing, we'll go back, we kill Hitler, and then we go save Ed and Aileen.
Okay, cool. Deal.
Make them roommates. And reboot The Odd Couple. Oh, what a show that would be. While you're on Patreon, check out our other exclusive shows like Aimee's Horrific History Show, Playing with Bones, and my Celebrity Rap Sheet, which is now on its sexy. Where we were on episode 3 came out this week.
Yes.
Episode 3 came out this week, and we are talking about I'm only saying I don't know because we recorded all of them all at once now.
It is
just
3.
to get it knocked out. So 3. But this is, I love 3 because I actually literally read the closest thing you're ever going to get to O.J. Simpson's confession, and that is the passage in the book If I Did It that he released, where he describes what he thinks might have happened if he might have been there and might have done it.
But he did it.
So check it out.
All that and mini monsters are available now at the Horrorverse Network on Patreon. Subscribe now for only $5 a month with a 7-day free trial for all new subscribers. And if you're into gaming, you can catch me on Twitch every Monday from 10 p.m. to midnight Irish time, which is 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern time. That's on Twitch at Aimee Rose 9.
And you can check us out on socials at Alive Live Pod and at Aimee Rose IAA. It's definitely worth following because Aimee puts up some awesome cosplay pictures that are super fucking hot. Don't tell Instagram, they'll ban us. But we put the really hot stuff on Patreon.
TikTok bans that shit. Instagram doesn't.
Yeah, well, we have to put the really hot stuff on Patreon, so go there. It's worth your $5, trust me. We'll be back next week with more tales from the Horrorverse. See you then. Same 11 time, same Horrorverse channel. Okay, love you. Bye-bye.